Hey guys, this is a video on how to paint a sunset like this for beginners. So the first thing you're going to need is a glass of water to clean your paintbrushes with. I use water-soluble paints. If you're using oils, you're going to need a different method to clean them. So I planned on painting all in one session, so I brought a drink out, as you can see. I keep all of my paints centrally located in a tote and all of my supplies, and here I am getting out just what I need for this project. I find it easiest to just use cheap craft paintbrushes that you can get at any craft store. I do use artist quality acrylic paints. These can be hard to work with, however. I just tear a sheet from a mixed media pad and tape it to some cardboard on an easel. So I do prefer to sketch out the scene first as a guide. But the nice thing about using tube acrylics like I am is you can just dab it straight onto the canvas and then just use a brush to spread it. Otherwise, you're going to need to use a palette. Or if you're like me and you don't like to use a palette, you'll just end up dabbing it on the back of your hand. The goal here is to blend as you go, so that way it looks like the gradual fade of a sunset from left to right. Try to use an existing photograph as a reference for your color scheme. Either that or definitely determine your color scheme ahead of time so it doesn't look muddy. So at one point you saw me just painting straight onto the canvas with the pink. I prefer not to do that, but unfortunately I don't have a tube of pink. So I actually had to mix that using some red and white on the back of my hand. Otherwise, I'm just using a damp brush, hopefully clean in between colors, to spread it in a thin row and then blending it backwards into the previous colors. So it got kind of weird with the yellow. I knew I didn't want to go straight from yellow to white, so instead I added a layer of this flesh tone almost, and then the yellow over top of that so that it was less of a straight color change and more of a murky color change like you would see in the sky at sunset. After that, you're just adding in the silhouette in front of the sunset using that guided line as the horizon line. You can do this in colors too. I just preferred to have a straight silhouette, so I'm just doing it all in black. The nice thing about the artist acrylics is that you can get some texturing here, depending on how you do your brush strokes. So I knew I didn't want like a perfect reflection. I'm sure we've all seen sunset reflected on a pool. It's always really murky and it gets really shadowy around the edges. So here I'm just trying to blend it out towards the center there. It got kind of messy though. I started to add some detailing, then I decided to go back and fix that messy blurring. Added some more black around the edges. And then I took a wet brush to try and blend out all of those colors together before adding in some dark red to try and give a gradual fade between the black and the colors. So then we get into some of the detailing. I'm just taking some orange mixed with a little black and dabbing it on to try and look like waves. And then you want to get that shoreline. One thing to remember about the shoreline is that you really only want like a clear line at the top of it up against the mountains, so you want to blend it out into the water. And I noticed I had an error of a line from the pencil showing through the yellow up there, so that's me trying to cover it up or fix it. I kind of liked the messiness that it gave to the sunset look though. So after you add in all of the lines, then you go back through and blend out the bottom of it, trying to make it look like waves and less like you just drew lines across your painting all over. And then here's me adding the reflection of the sun onto the edges of those mountains and then oranging up that sunflower in the water a little bit more. And then that's the finished painting. Peel off the tape around the edge and you'll get a nice clean edge to it rather than having to do that yourself. And it makes a really nice sunset. And this is what I do to my hand instead of using a palette like I should. Thanks for watching.